students struggle with this type of question because they focus a lot on their notes and all the other stuff, and they forget about their general ledger accounts, right? So a general ledger account is not hard, especially if you know your notes. If you know your notes, then you know your general ledger accounts, right? Because simply what is in your note will also be in your ledger account. Then remember that some other things don't have notes, right? So we just need to learn how to go about doing their general ledger accounts. But in this video, it's going to be simplified, and you're going to see that it's not so hectic, right? And it's something that you can really score good marks in. So let's look at the question, right? So they are saying that the information below relates to eco stores for the year ended 28 Feb 2017, right? So I always make sure that I highlight the important stuff, right? My year end. The company was registered with an authorized share capital of 1 million shares, right? That just means that the company is allowed to issue up until 1 million shares. They can never sell more than that. Then 600,000 of these shares were in issue when on the 1st of March 2016. That is the beginning of my financial year. So the required is that I must go and prepare the following accounts. Firstly, we are going to go and prepare the ordinary share capital account, right? So because what happens is that students are not usually comfortable with going straight into the account, what I prefer you do is that you start by drawing a rough note for yourself, right? So go and draw this rough note for yourself, and then you see after preparing the note, you then transfer the information into your T account. So what do I need to do? I need to find my number of shares and my rand amounts, right? So let's go and look for the shares at the beginning, right? So let's go and look for my beginning. Remember my beginning, they already told me that at the beginning of the year, how many shares do I have in issue? I have 600,000 shares. So that's going to go to my note as 600,000 at the beginning of the year. So I'll go and write my 600,000 shares. Then my rand amount, right? My rand amount, if I go to my balances on my ledger, right? Here, ordinary share capital, 2,100,000. Remember, the end of last year becomes my opening this year. So this date is from last year, but it's the opening balance for this year. So at the beginning, I'll have the 2,100,000, right? Then if I take my 2,100,000 and I divide it by my 600,000, that will give me 3.50 rand per share. Okay, right? Then what do I need to now go and find? I need to now go and find my during, right? So let's go and read on information about the shares. So here the shares, they said on the 31st of August 2016, which is during my year, right? All the unissued shares were issued at 500 cents per share. So what do they mean about all the unissued shares? Remember they said that the company is allowed to issue 1 million shares, and at the beginning of the year they had already issued 600 of those shares. So how many do they have left that are unissued? They have 400,000 shares left that are unissued. So now they're telling us that 400,000 that is left has now been issued when during the year the 31st of August. So now it's going to be 400,000 over here, and then they said at 500 cents, which is 5 rand, right? So if I say my 400,000 times my 5, that gives me 2 million rands. So in total, I got 2 million rands for these shares. Then we need to go and look at the repurchasing, right? We need to go and look at the buyback. So on the 30th of November 2016, right, the directors decided to repurchase 120,000 shares at 6 rand 20 cents, right? Then all the other information is just about why they bought back those shares. But what I want to draw your attention to is that when you deal with the buyback, in my previous videos I did tell you that there's 3 amounts that you need to think about, right? You need to think about your total. You need to think that that total is split into your average price that we're going to use in our ordinary share capital note, and then it's also split into your price above average that we're going to use when we prepare when we prepare our retained income note. So in this case, can you guys see that what am I preparing? I'm preparing the ordinary share capital note. So which price am I looking for? I would want to use my average price for what? My ordinary share capital notes. So this R6.20 that they gave me over here, remember how much we pay for the buyback is your total amount that you pay. So this R6.20, because they said we repurchased it at R6.20, it's what we paid for those shares, right? So the R6.20 would be your total. It's not your average price, but your total. I don't want the total. What do I want? I want the average price, because I know when I'm preparing the ordinary share capital note, I need to find my average price. So this is what I'm going to go and do. I'm going to go and find the average price. So now how do I find my average price, right? So let's erase that and go and draw our year. So we're going to draw our year. Our year ends on the 28th of Feb. I think they said 2017, right? 28th of Feb 2017 would have started on the 1st of March 2016. So now what do? I go and input when my buyback happened. So my buyback happened on the 30th of November 2016, right? So it happened somewhere here, 30 November 2016. This is when my buyback happened. Then now, what I now want to go and find out is that by the time that my buyback happened, right, how many shares did I have in issue? So this means that I want to look for the beginning of the year, up until my buyback happened. How many shares did I have in issue, right? So that I know that, okay, these are the shares that I had in issue before the buyback happened. So I need to go and find the average price of those shares. So we know that at the beginning of the year, we had how many shares in issue? 600,000 shares here at the beginning of the year. And we got 2,100,000 for those shares, right? And then we also went and issued some shares when on the 31st of August, right? That was my maturing. And how many shares did I issue on the 31st of August? It was 400,000 shares. And then how much did I get for those shares? I got 2 million rands for them. 2 million rands. So we can see that by the time that the buyback happened, so by the date of the 30th of November 2016, how many shares did I have in issue? I had these shares here and these shares here. So because by the time that the buyback happened, these were my shares that were in issue, I need to go and find the average price of those shares, right? So now how do I find the average price? The average price would be, I take my rand amounts for both the shares, they'll be on top, 2 million. Then at the bottom, I'd have my shares, so the 600,000 shares plus the 400,000 shares, right? Then on top, I'd have 4,100,000, right? So 4,100,000 divided by 1 million, and that would give me 4 rand 10 cents. So my average price is 4 rand 10 cents, and that's the average price I'm going to go and use for what? For my buyback in my what? In my ordinary share capital note, right? So let's go and write that in. So this would be 4 rand 10 cents. How many shares did I repurchase again? It was 120,000 shares. 120,000 shares, right? Buyback is always, so I put an extra 0. Buyback is always in brackets. So now I'm going to say my 4 rand 10 cents times my 120,000 shares, which is going to give me 492,000, right? Then to get my balances at the end, I'm simply going to total everything. So on the number of shares side, I'm going to take my 600 plus my 400 minus my 120, which is going to give me 880,000. Then on this side, I have the 2,100,000 plus the 2 million minus the 492, which is going to give me 3,608,000. Then to get my price per share, divide by 880. That's going to give me 4 rand 10 cents. Okay. Right. And then in the next video, I'll teach you how to double check whether that average price that you calculated over here is actually correct. But for now, let's go to our ledger, right? So now can you see? I'm sorted, right? Remember your ledger account is a what? It's a nominal thing, right? So your account would only include numbers. So which part of the note are we focused on? We are focused on this part, right? Because we are preparing a ledger account, so we're only going to take the rands, not the shares, right? So the rands, this is what we are looking for. So remember, my balance at the beginning is my opening balance, right? Remember that it's important to know that it's important to know which side your T account increases and which side it decreases. So this is an equity account, so you increase this side, decrease this side. Opening balances are always put on the plus side of the T account unless they tell you where to put it, right? So in this case, we have an opening balance of how much? 2,100,000. So I'd go and put my opening balance here, 2,100,000, right? And then now, how do I move the rest of the information? So how you'd move the rest of the information from your note into your ledger is that you would see if that amount that you're looking at is positive or negative, right? So whatever amount is positive will obviously go on to the positive side of the account, and if that amount is a negative number, it will go on the negative side of your account, right? So the next thing that we have is what my during, right? Issued during the year. So the issued during the year is a what? Is a positive number, right? So it go on the positive side of your account. So it's going to be the 2 million on this side. Then remember, what would be your contra account? Your contra account is you are issuing shares, you are selling shares, you are getting money. So the contra account would be bank. Right. Okay. Then the next thing that we have is this amount over here for the buyback, right? And can you guys see that it's a negative amount? So because it's a negative amount, it's going to go on my negative side of my T account. So on this side, I'll have 492,000. And we were buying back shares, right? So when you're buying something, the contra account again is what? Is bank. Right, so I have bank on this side. Then the last thing that I need to go and put in is my closing balance, right? But then what I suggest is that don't go and put in the closing balance, right? What you now need to go and do is just balance out your account, and you'll see that it will balance to your closing balance. So you balance out your account. So let's go and balance out our account. So which side is bigger? We can see that which side? The credit side is bigger, right? It's going to give us 4,100,000. Then I'll say 4,100,000. And if I say my 4,100,000, right? So if I take my 4,100,000 minus the 492, what would that give me? 3,608,000. And that's my what? My closing balance. Then remember, to close off your account, you take it to the opposite side. 3,608,000. So that's how you would prepare what? Your ordinary share capital note. So this is why I'm ordinary share ledger account. This is why I say if you know your note, then you obviously know your T account, because what you have on your note is it's exactly what's going to be in your T account.